I'm here with our little Tilly today, Matilda. And we're integrating her into the coop today. Well, I did yesterday too, but today I think I might just leave her in tonight. I've had to put a baby in here before with the bigger gals. And the bigger gals are not always very welcoming. They can be real, sort of, the B word, kind of mean. But it really, I think, depends upon the little that you're putting in, the little gal that you're putting in. The other one I put in was very timid and very nervous and anxious when I put her in. This one walked in confidently and went at anyone that had a go at her. She is a Jersey Giant baby, and she's going to be a very big chicken. So maybe that's where she gets her innate confidence from, but she walked in here and just barreled her way in. They weren't very happy, but she didn't care. How about that? The other one struggled with integrating in because she was just nervous and she let them bully her around. This one, she's taken no guff. So birds of a different feather. Every bird has a different personality. If you didn't know, I didn't know before I had chickens. I was very ignorant in chickendom. I didn't know how sweet they are and how intelligent they are and how they create relationships with each other. I didn't realize there were so many different breeds and varieties. There's a lot I didn't know, and I feel like people should know that. They have little lives and they have feelings, and they some days don't feel so hot, and some days they do, and some days they're happy, and some days they're like just like us. And they have relationships. They bunk together with the same friends. Some of them are a little bit more independent, but all in all, they're very sweet. But they all have to get along if they're going to be together, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a trying situation. This little one, she waltzed in like she's like, I don't care what you guys say. That's that. I'm here. So I was actually going to take her out and just bring her in for a little bit and integrate her slowly, but she did so well today. She's brave. She's confident. She walks around without being frightened, and that means all the difference. I see the birds treated her completely differently than they did the other one that I brought in, who was a little bit more timid. So, yeah. She's like, I'll have a go at you. It's okay. Maybe she knows she's going to be big one day, and she'll give it to him. Anyway, that's part of what I did today. That took up some time because I'm always afraid of bringing a baby in when they're not ready, when they can't defend themselves, and I don't want to turn my back. I want to make sure I'm supervising and monitoring and that no one gets hurt. However, chickens do have to establish a pecking order, and they will. There's a hierarchy for sure. They'll all have a go at her, and they'll determine who's who in the list of who goes first. So it's all a learning experience for them. But yeah, as long as no one's getting hurt, you're supposed to leave them. Makes me nervous. I don't like that. I don't like that whole situation. So I do monitor pretty closely, and if things get a little heated or they just continue to be heated, I take them out, and we'll start again tomorrow or later on that day and just try again. I don't think it's necessary for all that violence. Anyway, that's something I did today. I was looking around the yard today, Mom and I, and we both can feel the difference. We're on the back end of the 18 holes of summer. You can feel it in the air. You can see it in the plants. You can smell it. You feel it in my bones. So what I'm starting to do is really buckle down as to harvesting, getting my seeds in that I need to get in, and starting to prepare for fall. What does that mean and what does that look like? Well, there's some cleanup to do for sure. There's some organizing in the greenhouse. I need to take everything out. I need to reorganize all the pots that I've, all those seedling pots that I've planted everything out of. So they just get like piled in the corner with like sizes, but everything's not put away. So that stuff all has to be organized for spring planting or fall planting. And I need to clean out my greenhouse. So if there's any muck on the plastic, I like to go in there and just do a quick once over scrub, real easy, and then power scrub underneath to make sure there's no film. There's no, sometimes I have incense out there and I don't want any smoke out there, any smoke on the greenhouse. Then there's dirt from spraying and just overall use, dust and stuff like that. It's moist in there, so if you have the door open, hi there. If it's moist, then the dust or dirt sometimes sticks to the walls, and then sometimes you get some algae on there, some fungus growing. So I just want to rinse it off. So I have the cleanest possible plastic for the winter and the spring, and I'm getting the most sunlight in that I possibly can. So that's got to be done. That's one big thing. I'm repotting things. So things that have outgrown their pots, I need to transplant into bigger pots, especially things that need to come in for the winter, tropicals and hardy, tender, frost tender perennials, like the pineapple sage and things like that. I like to get into a bigger pot, and just organizing in that way, organizing my brain so I know what I'm bringing in and where I'm putting it and how that's all going to work. I also need to stock up on soil, bags of soil for the spring planting before it's all gone, and put that, the bottom of my shelves to hold everything down. Just that kind of stuff, just getting things started to get put away. Because once it gets cold, things move really quickly. And then one day you hit it and you're like, oh my gosh, there's going to be snow tomorrow, and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, running the plants in, and it's just a hot mess in my greenhouse, and that sucks. Because then you're out there in the cold and you're working, and it's just no fun. And most of the time I'm working through the night because it's going to snow the next day or that night, and that's just not a good thing. I hate doing that. But I do always try and maximize the length of time I can keep plants out, because it's just such a long winter in that greenhouse. I feel bad for them. But yeah, you sure don't want them to freeze after all that work, especially if they're tropicals. You don't want them to die. You did all that work, right? You got them so far through the summer, so you've got to bring them in and protect them. So that's what I'm doing, transplanting things. There's a lot of, when you're trying seeds, you're not sure how many are going to come up. So sometimes you plant like 8 of them in a pot, and then you get like maybe 5 come up. And now I've got 5 little seedlings in a pot, and I need to transplant those into different pots. It's all that stuff. That's what I'm doing. Final planting. I'm doing a lot of perennials. I'm finishing out the gardens. I want to make sure that things have ample time to take into the ground before they hit a frost. And yeah, just trying to be ahead of the game. I've already got a lot of winter hardy vegetables, my fall planting started. A lot of it's already in the ground, in fact, starting direct seeded or in little pots. I'm done my final, end of July planting for my last of my summer stuff. So I got beans in, some extra beans, some pole beans, some bush beans, things like that. Now I'm starting again, lettuces and greens, hardy stuff, root vegetables, rootstock. Parsnips would take too long. So I've got carrots, I've got radishes, beets, turnips, things like that. That's all going in the ground. Cleaning up. Look, I've got lots to eat. We have lots of food. I've got to get this processed. So growing it is one thing. Another thing is I wish I had a greenhouse. Oh, the greenhouse has been awesome. I thought I'd be old and gray by the time I got a greenhouse, but I really lucked out. My neighbor gave me, one of those Insta carports, with the metal frames. They gave us that, and it had the tarp on it, and we used it for a year in our driveway. But then the tarp ripped, and we were going to get rid of it too. And I said, no, I have a vision. That's going to be my greenhouse. So that's what I used. I took it all apart, and I brought it to the back, and I reassembled it, and I just started building my greenhouse. And I really love it. Especially in the spring, it's amazing to be able to get outside, sort of outside out of the house anyway. And you're looking outside and sometimes it's just snow. It's very cool to be in there. It's kind of surreal, in fact. And I can start my planting early because I have a little heater in there and it's just warm enough to start like the early spring stuff. It's amazing. This last year I got brave enough to put my tropicals in there because I had a setup where I had the heater and I had a heater on deck just in case that one would conk. Thank goodness I did because it conked. And then I went and bought another one immediately. So I always have a backup, or you're up the creek, especially if you have tropicals, and that's a lot of work. Now, it was kind of an experiment. I usually bring my tropicals in the house. I'm pretty diligent about that, but we've had issues with ants. You're bringing in all kinds of stuff and they want to live in the house, and we already have issues with ants here. Us and the neighbors, everybody has these ants that come into the house. Nothing you can do. This past year I think I had one potted plant in the entire house, which is crazy because usually it's like a jungle. And we love it because it feels nice in the winter when you have some greenery and it's not just the dreary cold outside, right? But I was trying to make sure that it wasn't me bringing in the ants and the ants just come in anywhere. So that being said, I did have the tropicals outside. So it was an experiment. And for the most part, it worked. I did lose some things and it kind of broke my heart. I had to reorder seeds this year. And I should have been smart and I should have brought in at least one or two of them instead of leaving them all out there of one variety. And now I have none, right? So that kind of sucked. But there was only a few things that I actually lost. The rest of them, I wasn't so hurt. They were just, frost tender things, like those tender perennials and things like that. Some of them didn't make it, some of them did, and that's great. Anything that did make it, I didn't have to buy this year. My begonias lived through the season. The tubers I brought in, my fuchsias all lived. All my hanging baskets, almost everything came back. I even had some petunias and million bells come back. They lived in the greenhouse all winter. It's tricky guessing when to bring the plants into it. I know, right? Especially up here. Are you up north, prep for it? If you're up here where we are, I mean, you just keep hoping you're going to have nice weather. You're going into October, you're like, snow. No, it's not going to snow. It's not going to snow. And then you get snow and you're like, oh, man. But you just can't take a chance. And then when you realize that there's snow in the forecast, you're kind of behind the 8 ball. Hamilton, yeah, Milton. Same thing, yeah. All of a sudden you're like, oh, crap, it's gonna snow tonight? Oh, I'm screwed. And there's always way more plants outside than you imagined that you had. Even if you work ahead, you're like, dang, I didn't know I still had that many plants outside. Shoot. And then you're trying to think of what else you can save. Once you get all the really important tropicals in, you're like, what else can I dig out? What can I save? What can I save? Last year was funny because not only was I doing that, but I was trying to plant bulbs. I had bought a bunch of bulbs at the end of the season. I tried to buy them as cheaply as possible on discount. Tulips and things like that, right? Grape hyacinth. And I literally got them in the ground like an hour before it snowed for the season. So I got them in. It was awesome to see them come up in the spring. And I just chuckled to myself because I'm like, wow, you got under the wire there, girl. Because once that snow hits, that ground is hard. The thing is, it's already hard because it's cold, right? But once it snows, you're like, woo, that's hard stuff. You can't do anything, man. It's just tough. So yeah, I'm just trying to prepare my brain for my winter cleanup, my fall and winter cleanup. And I'm already thinking about next year. Like, I'm already planning new ideas in my head. What worked every year? You're balancing everything. How did things go? How you're gauging how your ideas went and your experiments went, and then you base it on that, right? It's you learn every year. It's called experience, right? So every year I think I improve it, and then I bite off a whole bunch more and try a whole bunch of new things. But that's okay. That's the fun of gardening. It's got to be fun too, right? It's a lot of work, so you got to get some fun in there while you're at it. It's not so fun when things don't work out and you did a lot of work, But when things do and you're like, oh, that was ingenious. Why didn't I think of that before? Yeah. So, and then this year, of course, the chickens are new for us. I'm a newbie and I've learned a lot. I think I've done a lot of research though. I've been researching it for years and then we were just like, let's do it. We jumped in. And I'm learning as I go, but I was very prepared. Like we were very prepared with how we were going to build the coop. And I think that I've done a really good job making sure it's protected and it's going to be warm and insulated and safe for them. And that's paramount. That's the most important thing. Oh, now they're picking on her. These guys. These gals, I should say. She's actually a replacement. I had another Jersey Giant, and he was a great big boy, but I didn't know he was a boy. I got him as a baby. And then one day he cock-a-doodled out here, and I was so sad. His name was Geraldine, and now he's Jerry. Actually, I don't know if they still call him. Maybe they call him Geraldine. But the family, I brought him back to their farm, and they've fallen in love with him. They're like, wow, he's a real gent. I said, yeah, he is. He's smart and he's sweet. He wasn't a mean rooster. He was so cuddly and sweet and big. Oh, I miss my Geraldine. Oh, man. Anyway, apparently he goes swimming with them. He goes to the pool and everything. And that's kind of cool. Here's an opossum right here. Hi, opossum. Wow. That's wild. He's not even scared of me. Yeah, that's why I have this coop protected, because they'll come in and they'll try and, mess with chicks, or they'll mess with the eggs, right? So anyway, so this chicken of mine, this rooster of mine, he goes swimming with the family. They're like, he's the coolest chicken. I'm like, I know, he's the best. But he's really big. The Jersey Giant is the biggest variety of chicken. So they were kind enough to give me a little baby, who they think is a hen. Hopefully it's a hen. But she's not black, she's white, and that's okay. My mom wanted a big black chicken, but that's okay. She's going to be a big white chicken. She's going to be beautiful, and hopefully she'll fit in just right. But she will be the biggest one. And they're really hardy and strong. So, like I said, I did my research to make sure I have some strong chickens that will be able to last through the winter here. Anyway, I keep talking. The whole point I came on here was to tell you that we're 5 days out from the Gardening and Self-Sufficiency Workshop through JAHealing. We had our first out of 5 on this past Saturday. And we were rained out the week before because of severe weather we had here. So we were scheduled. That's okay. We had it last weekend. It was great. Fantastic on Saturday. We had some ladies out and they got all their questions answered. We talked a lot about the greenhouse and how to build one. Everyone wants a greenhouse now. Especially if the crap hits the fan, you want to make sure that you're ready. Plus you can get a jump on spring planting, and you can extend your season for things that may not have fruited all the well. So if you've got some tomatoes that haven't quite, they're green. They're green on the vine when it's going to snow, and you can bring them in and they can finish off in the greenhouse. So you kind of extend your season on both ends, and it's amazing. So they wanted to know how to do that and how, like I said, to alleviate these pests, rats and squirrels and skunks and stuff like that, how to keep them out. And I've learned my lesson with my greenhouse first. So when I built the coop, I knew exactly what to do to alleviate that problem, because I had that problem with my greenhouse. And I had to fix it, and it was a costly mistake, so I'm not going to do that again. Anyway, all is well, and everything seems to be working. And then they wanted to know about the coop. Exact same thing. How do I make this happen? Everyone is greatly considering adding that to their repertoire, putting that on their suburban homestead. Again, I'm not on a farm. I'm in the suburbs, and we're allowed to have chickens here. There's a certain amount. You're not allowed to have roosters, so that's why a rooster had to be rehomed. But it's nice to know you have a backup food supply, and you're getting healthy food. So these gals won't be meat chickens. These gals are going to be for eggs only, and they're our pets. I also think it's an important thing for my daughter. She's 3 now, but I think it's going to be an important thing for her to learn where does your food come from? How do you survive? How do you make food? How do you grow your food? How do you make your own food? And I think this is such an important lesson that does not get taught in school. Our number one goal here on this planet is to survive. So food, water, shelter is like the most important stuff. And it's like the least taught thing in school. It's bananas to me. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. Being reliant upon the system, the governmental system, and these, it just makes me uncomfortable, because as we saw, the bottom fell out last year and it's supposed to be even worse this year. So being prepared, any step you can make towards being more prepared and being more self-sufficient, more self-reliant, making yourself your own system. You're growing your own food, you're growing healthy food, you know exactly where it came from, and you know you have access to it. So if something happens like what happened this last year, you got food in your backyard. You're going to be okay. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's there, so you're good. Like I keep telling people, I pulled everything on my lot that is not benefiting me, that's not working for me. So grass, for instance, stuff like that, everything's gone. That's not producing me food or medicine. Yes, I'm glad that you were prepared. A lot of wildfire there. Yeah, absolutely. I don't even know exactly where all the wildfires are. I've just heard that they're up north in Ontario. I don't watch much news. Oh gosh, incoming call. I'll have to call them back. I know exactly who it is too. Our garage door is broken. So we'll just wait for that to go. Sorry guys. Okay, so I don't know exactly where the wildfires are up north. But we're getting a lot of smoke, a lot of haze, a lot of crazy stuff. But hey, that could happen anywhere, right? You never know what's going to happen. You could have blackouts. You could have flooding. You could have tornado. You could have a bunch of different things happen, and you got to be prepared. It's not just, I don't want to say the C word, what's happened this last year, because social media doesn't want me to say that very much. So it's not just that. It could be anything that's keeping you from being able to get food and get essentials and be okay, right? This thing is not scared of me. That is bananas. What the heck? It's coming like near me. I better back up. Anyway, I'm glad you're prepared. And that's that. Join us for the workshop. If you have questions about urban homesteading, if you have questions about making a greenhouse, if you have questions about having chickens, if you have questions about how to grow your food, how to grow your own medicines, how to store it, let me know. Come on out. It's a great group of people. It's not just open to the women this time around. We're having 5 consecutive weeks. So last week was the first one. Every week we're talking about something a little bit different, but I also address everyone's questions. Bring your dilemmas, bring your questions. See if this is a lifestyle for you. If you're questioning even starting something like this, if it's doable. Come join us. It's a great group of people. We have a lot of fun, and we all learn something, and it's great fellowship for sure on a Saturday morning. It's 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Here it's 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. I think we're still on. And it's a great time. Saturday. Join us. Okay, you can pre-register at JAHealing for this workshop or all the workshops, the rest of them. Or you can check them out online on their social media on Instagram or Facebook and get hooked up with them, and they'll get you hooked up for these workshops. So join us. Hope you do. Okay? Be champions in your homestead, in your kitchen, wherever you are today. Bye. Talk to you soon.